Hello, hi, matriculants or grade 12 rewriting students. So, this is a lesson that I've prepared for you here that will help you comprehend the meaning, the motive, and the message that is conveyed by the poem titled Remember, written by Christina Rossetti. So, fam, this poem reads as follows. Remember me when I am gone away, gone far away into the silent land, when you can no more hold me by the hand. No, I have turned to go, yet turning stay. Remember me when no more day by day you tell me of our future that you planned. Only remember me, you understand. It will be late to cancel then or pray. Yet, if you should forget me for a while, and afterwards remember, do not grieve. For if the darkness and corruption leave a vestige of the thoughts that I once had, better by far you should forget and smile than that you should remember and be sad. What type of a poem is this? According to the content, we can say this poem is an elegy. Why? Because it entails death. And then according to the structure, we can call the poem a sonnet because it is a poem that has 14 lines. And what type of a sonnet it is a Petrarchian sonnet. Some call it an Italian sonnet because it is divided into an octave and a sestet. Now the title of the poem is Remember, which can mean recall, reminisce, reflect, taking into account something or taking it into consideration or taking a trip down a memory lane. Now we basically going to hear in the poem what is it essentially that ought not to be forgotten. In overall summary of the poem, we hear the speaker addressing her beloved that he should not forget her even after her death. Nevertheless, the speaker gives this person a permission to gradually release and forget about her, for it is better to forget and smile than to remember and be sad. We can safely say the last two lines of the poem serve as a direct contrast, which means an irony with the title of the poem, which demands a remembrance by the beloved. Also, throughout the poem, we keep on hearing the repetition of the word remember, as if the speaker is fearful that the beloved would not take heed to her request. Also, we find two remembers in the octave and two remembers in the sestet. That also serves as an irony in terms of the request that we find in the octave and the relief that we find in the sestet. First line, remember me when I am gone away. Now that's a command for her beloved. She does not want to be forgotten upon her death. Second line, gone far away into the silent world. Silent world because there will be no communication according to the speaker after death. You should note that in the first and second line, there's a figure of speech known as euphemism that has been used, which is using polite or indirect terms or mild alternatives to soften a term that is regarded or considered harsh or blunt. So the euphemism for death is gone far away, and the euphemism for afterlife is the silent world. And another thing that you should note, these euphemisms that have been used also serve as metaphors because there is direct comparison of death as going far away and the direct comparison of afterlife as the silent world. Also, on the first and second line, there's repetition of terms gone away and gone far away, which denotes a tremendous boundary between life and death. And this serves as a persuasive repetition with regards to this remembrance that is demanded. Line 3, when you can no more hold me by the hand. So the speaker here knows very well that she will die. Also be able to distinguish between the speaker and the poet. Christina here was only 19 when she wrote this poem. She is only the poet, which is the writer, and not the speaker. So the speaker demands that she may not be forgotten even when there is no longer that love language through the physical form, which is touching each other. Line 4, no, I have turned to go, yet turning stay. So this is a juxtaposition here because we find reluctance of the speaker to leave the earth. And also this line shows the attitude of the speaker towards death, that she is forced to die, right? And also the speaker shows to have had some sort of an illness that forced her to die. Now we are on the second quatrain of our octave. Remember me when no more day by day you tell me of a future you planned. And this again reiterates the term remember, which is our title of the poem. And we can safely say we are hearing an internal alliteration, which is the repetition of the consonant sounds day by day, which is highlighting the time that they've spent together. They never wanted to be far apart, which should also tell us of this deep love that they had. I guess it's the love that Shakespeare spoke about in one of my favorite sonnets, Sonnet 116, let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. But we are not there, because we had that in the first quatrain of our octave, that they had this love language, which is physical touches. And now here we hear another love language, which is affirmations, that they affirmed each other with regards to their future. So in our last two lines of our octave, we hear an explanation, because once we see a colon that we see in line 6, we know what follows will be an explanation, which is an expanded notion to whatever that has been said previously. So it says, only remember me. You understand it will be late to cancel then or pray. So from line 5 and 6, we could deduce that the speaker suggests there's no longer a guaranteed future for this relationship, for she will die very soon. Now, opening line 7, she repeats the term remember, which emphasizes her concern to be forgotten by her beloved. Now, this is accompanied by the term only, which makes it a hyperbole, which is an exaggeration in poetry used to emphasize this deep admiration she has towards her beloved. Also, the speaker persuasively insinuates the understanding of her beloved. She says, you understand it will be late to cancel then or pray. Basically, she means that there is nothing that can bring her to life upon her death. Now says it, our last 6 lines of the poem. Yet, if you should forget me for a while. Now we encounter what we call a falter, a sudden change in argument, a sudden change in tone. Yet if you should forget me for a while and afterwards remember, do not grieve. The speaker is becoming more level-headed. Now there is a sudden change in tone, that she no longer demands her beloved to think about her, to reminisce about her. Do not grieve. And as a poet, I'd say in other words, she says, do not be deepened in the dam of despair or despondency. Do not be engulfed in the ground of gloom, nor be soaked in sorrow. Who would have thought, in whatever that she said, in the octave, she will come to these words. And there we come to a colon. Oh, coming with a different explanation now. For if the darkness and corruption leave a vestige of the thoughts that she once had, the corruption meaning the illness and the disease that she had, and the darkness meaning the timid, the sadness and the self-centeredness senses that she had. So if all of that should leave her senses, then she would have the rational decision. And that rational decision that she would take is that it is better for her beloved to forget and smile than remember and be sad. From the whole entire explanation of this poem, we can safely draw the general rule of Patrician sonnets, that in the octave we set the problem, while in the sestet we resolve the problem. We also, in the octave, ask a question, while in sestet we answer the question. We also set the emotional tone in octave, while we resolve it in sestet. We found that in our sonnet, the one who was about to die, constantly concerned about being remembered after death, while we found the solution in the sestet that there should be happiness to those who will not die even after they have experienced death. And also, the tone of the speaker was self-centered, fearful, and urgent in our octave, while in our sestet it was calm, rational, accepting, ironic, and selfless. And lastly but not least, we can say in our octave we focused on memories, the pain of being apart, and the speaker's need to be remembered, while in the sestet we turned the poem and had a natural dialogue occurring and had the main argument expressed. Bye. I hope this helps you.